Hope all are doing well. I'm here with another nice video, and today we are going to discuss about a personality who is an American singer, songwriter, and dancer, and at last, not the least, the king of pop, and that's none other than the great Michael Joseoh Jackson. As we start, we could start from his childhood. Let us go back to the 1958. Early life at the Jackson farm. Michael Joseph Jackson was born in Gary, Indiana, near Chicago on August 29, 1958. He was the eighth of the 10 children in the Jackson family and working class African American family living in two-bed house on Jackson Street. And from this, we could understand that Jackson came from a very low and what had reached him to the success we could see in our following was. His mother, Catherine Esther Jackson, his Scrooge played clarinet at piano, had aspired to be a country and western performer, and worked part-time at Sears. She was Jehovah's Witness. His father, Joseph Walter Chip Jackson, a former boxer, was a crane operator at US Steel and played guitar with a local rhythm and blues band, the Falcons by name, to supplement his family income. What we understand this is that somewhere Jackson had a touch of music from his childhood. He had heard the rhythm, the blues, the piano from the childhood, and he may have grown his interest from it. His father's great grandfather, Jola Jack Gill, was a Native American medicine man and US Army Scout. Michael grew up with three sisters, Rebbe, Latoya, and Janet, and five brothers, Jackie, Tito, Jaramini, Marlon, and Randy, and a sixth brother, Marlon's twin brother, died shortly after birth. Joy acknowledged that he regularly whipped Michael. Michael said his father told him he had a fat nose and regularly physical and emotional abused him to reverses. He recalled that Joy often sat in a chair with a belt in his hand as if and his sibling reversed, ready to physically punish any mistakes. Catherine Jackson stated that although whipping is considered abuse in more modern times, it was a common way to discipline children when Michael was growing up. Jackie, Tindo, Germany, and Marlon have said that their father was not abusive and the whippings, which were harder on Michael because he was younger, kept them disciplined and out of trouble. In an interview with Oprah Winfrey in 1993, Jackson said that his youth had been lonely and isolated. And when you think about it, it was his personal mental character, and we could not suggest more on that. In 1964, Michael and Marlon joined the Jackson Brothers, a band formed by their father which included Jackie, Tindo, and Germany as backup musicians playing congas and tambourine. Later that year, Michael began sharing lead vocals with Germany, and the group name was changed to Jackson 5. As Jackson 5 members, so they changed as a from the family name with 5 members, so it became Jackson 5. The following year, the group won a talent show. Michael performed the dance to Robert Parker's 1965 song Barefooted and Singing that led to Temptations My Girl. From 1966 to 1968, they toured the Midwest. They frequently played at the stringed black clubs known as Chilton Circuit as the opening act for artists such as Sam and Dave, the All Ages Gladys Knight, and Etta James. The Jackson 5 also performed at clubs and cocktail lounges where striptease shows were featured, and local auditoriums and high school dances. In August 1967, while touring the East Coast, they won a weekly amateur night concert at Apollo Theatre in LA. And what we could understand from this that they were grassroots level hard workers. They were hardworking to the core. They don't care about the audience. They just care that they were spectators to see or hear, and they were encouraging their skills. And that is what a person or people need to succeed the heights of success. And this is a very good example of that. It was the move to epic and the off the wall. In 1975, the Jackson 5 left Motown. They signed with Epic Records and subsidiary of CBS Records and renamed themselves the Jacksons. Their younger brother Randy joined their band around this time. Jermaine stayed the Motown and pursued a solo career. The Jacksons continued to tour internationally and released 6 more albums between 1970 and 1981. Michael, the group's main songwriter during this time, wrote songs such as Shake Your Body, Down to the Ground 1979, The Place Hotel 1980, and California 1980. In Jackson, during 1978, moved to New York City to star as the Scarecrow in The Wiz, a musical directed by Sidney Lumet. It co-starred Turner Rose, Nipsey Russell, and Ted Rose. The film was a box office failure. As such, it was a box office failure. Jacksons, especially Michael Jackson, never lost his hope. Jackson took it in a cool manner and went on. He was not sad or anything. He was pursuing his career in that way. Nothing affected him. Failures only made him strong. All was going like that. He never hesitated in his life to say because of failures. And he went on like that in a chill way. Its course, the score was arranged by Quincy Jones, who later produced 3 of Jackson's solo albums. During his time in New York, Jackson frequently the Studio 15 nightclub, where he heard the hip hop. He influenced the beatboxing of fusion tracks such as Working Day and Night. In 1979, Jackson broke his nose during his dance routine. A rhinoplasty led to breathing difficulties that later affected his career. He was referred as Stephen Flynn, who performed Jackson's subsequent creations. Whatever happened to him, he never lost his passion towards dance and singing. Even though his nose break, he had breathing difficulties, he never stopped practice. He was practicing and practicing on. And by getting a rhinoplasty and getting breathing difficulties, he didn't stop dancing. He went for hip hops, etc. and singing. Jackson's 5th solo album, Off the Wall 1979, established him as a solo performer and helped him move from the bubblegum pop of his youth to more complex sounds. It produced 4 top 10 entries in US, of the Wall, She's Out of My Life, and the chart-topping single Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and Rock With You. The album reached number of 3 US Billboard 200 and sold over 20 million copies worldwide. In 1980, Jackson won 3 American Music Awards for his solo work: Favorite Soul by R&B Album, Favorite Soul and R&B Male Artist, and Favorite Soul by R&B Single for Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. He also won Germany Award for Best Male R&B Vocal Performer for 1979 with Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. In 1981, Jackson was the first American Music Awards winner for Favorite Solo R&B Album and Favorite Soul R&B Male Artist. Jackson felt of the Wall should have made a bigger impact and was determined to exceed expectations with his next release. In 1980, he secured the highest royalty rate in this industry, 37% of all sale albums in his profit. Even though it came lots of money, proud honors, he was not that much what we could say. As people get fame or prosperity, they become selfish and greedy. But when we look at Jackson, he was just the same as before. He didn't have any changes. He was going in the way as if he was before. And that we could say is one of the major good qualities of Jackson. And after this, it was like we could say it was a golden era for him. More albums, more songs, more hip hops. It was all. He was being treated as a small celebrity all over the world. His albums were best-selling worldwide. Estimated 6 million copies were sold out. Jackson recorded with Queen singer Freddie Mercury from 1981 to 1983, recording demos, State of Shock, Victory, and There Must Be More to Life Than This. These recordings were intended for an album of duets, but according to Queen's manager Jim Page, the relationship soured when Jackson brought Ilama into the recording studio, and Jackson was upset by Mercury's struggles. The songs were released in 2014. Jackson went on to record State of Shock with Mick Jagger and Jackson's album Victory. In 1982, Jackson contributed Some in the Dark to the storybook for the film E.T. The Extraterrestrial. Jackson's sixth album, Thriller, was released in late 1982. He was best-selling album worldwide in 1983 and became the best-selling album of all time in US and the best-selling album of all time worldwide, selling estimated 66 million copies, as I said before. It topped the Billboard 200 chart for 37 weeks and he was in the top of 10 the 200 for 80 consecutive weeks. It was the first album to have seen Billboard Hot top 10 singles, including Bill Jean Beat It and Wanna Be Starting Something. On March 25, 1983, Jackson reunited with his brother Merchant 25 Yesterday Today Forever, and we could say this was an NBC television special. The show aired on May 16, 1983, an estimated audience of 47 million, and featured the Jackson Other Motor stars. And we could see from here it was all success from here. Jackson was enjoying a super blast as a celebrity and his life was going in a cool and glory tour of 1984 headlined the Jackson and showcased Jackson's new solo material to more than 2 million Americans. It was the last tour he did with his brothers. Following controversy over the concert ticket sales, Jackson donated his share of the proceeds, an estimated $3 to $5 million, to charity. This shows that Jackson was not just a dancer or a singer or songwriter. He also had a heart with love to his citizens and people. During the last concert of the Victory Tour at the Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, Jackson announced his split from the Jacksons during Shake Your Body, a self-charitable work cadre with release of We Are the World 1985. Co-written with Lionel Richie, which raised money over the poor in US and Africa. It earned $63 million and became one of the best-selling singles of all time. With 20 million copies sold, it won 4 Grammy Awards in 1985, including Song of the Year for Jackson and Richie as its writer. The project rights to nearly 4,000 songs, including most of Beatles' material. In 1981, McCartney had been offered catalog for leverage 20 million, that is 40 million US dollars. Jackson submitted a bid of 46 million dollars on November 20, 1984, when Jackson and McCartney were unable to make a joint purchase. McCartney did not want to be a sole owner of Beatles' song and did not pursue an offer on its own. Jackson's agents were unable to come to a deal, and in May 1985 left talks after having spent more than $1 million and 4 months of due diligence work on negotiations. In June 1985, Jackson and Bert Kansas learned Charles Koppelman's and Marty Barrier, the entertainment company, had made a tentative offer to buy ATB Music for $50 million. In early August, Holmes, a court, found that the Jackson talks resumed. Jackson's English bid of $47.5 million was also agreed to visit Holmes, a court in Australia, where he would prepare on the Channel 7 telethon. Jackson's purchase of ATV Music was finalized on August 10, 1978, for that shows his attitude, his good attitude, kind attitude, etc. And now we move to 1986 to 1987, changed appearance, tabloids and films. Jackson's skin had been medium brown during his youth, but from mid-1980s gradually grew paler. The change drew widespread media coverage, including speculation that he had been bleaching his skin. Jackson's dermatologist Arnold Klein said he observed in 1983 that Jackson had vitiligo, a condition characterized by patches of the skin losing their pigment and sensitive to sunlight. He also identified discoid lupus erythematosus in Jackson. He diagnosed Jackson with lupus that year and with vitiligo in 1986. Vitiligo's drastic effects on the body can cause physiological distress. Jackson used hair-colored makeup and possibly skin-bleaching preservation creams to cover up the uneven blotches of color caused by illness. The creams would have further lightened his skin, and with the application of makeup he could appear very pale. Jackson said he had not purposely bleached his skin and not controlled its vitiligo, having when turned to cosmetic procedures to remedy his vitiligo because he did not want to look like a spotted cow. He said her son had received more than 2 cosmetic surgeries. He claimed and speculated that he addicted to them. And here we comes to his mental stage, as he had got some disease in his face and he was not ready to make his fans sad, and he changed. He had no other way because to put the bleaching creams. In 1986, tabloids reported that Jackson slept in hyperbaric oxidation chamber to slow aging and pictured him lying in a glass box. The claim was untrue, and tabloids reported that he spread the story himself. It was also reported by the tabloids that Jackson took female hormone shots to keep the voice high and facial hair wispy, proposed to Elizabeth Tower, and possibly had made a shrink of fur, had cosmetic surgery on his eyes. Jackson another Frank Lure denied all of them, except for Jackson having a chamber. Dear Leo either don't know if he sleeps in it. I'm not for it, but Michael thinks it's something that's probably healthy for him. He's a bit healthy fanatic. When Jackson took his pet chimpanzee Bubbles to tour in Japan, a public appearances caused him a stir in the media. They portrayed Jackson as an aspiring Disney cartoon character who befriended various animals. These things went unnoticed. There were many accusations, tabloids against Mr. Jackson, all throughout the years. Then we come to the early 1987. Jackson's first album in 5 years, Bad. 1987 was highly anticipated with industry accepting another major success. It became the first album to productive 5 US #1 singles. I Just Can't Stop Loving You, Bad, The Way You Make Feel, Man in Mirror, and Dirty Diana. And another songs where you make feel Man in Mirror and Dirty Diana, and the songs more criminal at #7. Brad won the 1988 German for Best Engineered Recording, Non-Classical, and 1990 Grammy Award Best Video Short Film for Me Alone. Jackson won an award for achievement at the Music Awards, and after Bad generated 5 number singles, became the first album to the top the charts in 25 countries and best-selling album worldwide in 1987 and 1988. By 2012, it has sold between 30 and 45 million copies worldwide. And when we talk about the World Bad World Tour, ran from September 12 to 1987 to January 14, 1989. In Japan, the tour had 40 sellouts to 70,000 people, nearly tripling the previous record for a single tour. The 504,000 people who attended 7 sold-out shows at Wembley Stadium at New Guinness World Record. And when he comes to another part of his life, in 1988, Jackson released his autobiography, Moonwalk, in input of Stephen Davison and Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. It sold 200 copies and reached the top of New York Times bestseller list. Jackson discussed his childhood, the Jackson 5, and the abuse from his father. He attributed his teenage facial years to 3 plastic surgeries, weight loss, strict vegetarian diet, a change in hairstyle, and stage whitening. In October, Jackson released a film, Moonwalker, which featured live shootage and short films starring Jackson and Joy Pepsi. In the US, it was released direct to video and became the best-selling video cassette RIAA certified it as platinum. In March 1988, Jackson purchased 2,700 acres, that is 11 kilometers square of land near Santa Escalzone to build a new farm. Netherlands was that cost $70 million and installed Ferris wheel, a corso, a movie theater, and a zoo, and a security staff of 40 patrol guards. Shortly afterwards, he appeared in the first Western television advertisement in the Soviet Union. Jackson became known as the King of Pop, a nickname that Jackson's publicans embraced when Elizabeth Taylor presented him with Soul Train Heritage Award in 1989. She called him the true king of pop, rock, and soul. President George H.W. Bush designated him the White House Artist of the Decade. From 1995 to 1990, Jackson donated $455 to United Negro College Fund, and all profits from his single Man in the Mirror went to charity. His rendition of You Were There at Sammy Davis Jr.'s 6th birthday celebration won Jackson a second Emmy nomination. It was all a golden era for Jackson. awards, millions, and the more he got, the more he spent for his charity works. That was Jackson's life. And then there was a lot of another movies and songs coming through him and again. And now we move on to the early 1991. It is a year of the dangerous Heal the World Foundation and Super Bowl 10-7 episode like that halftime show. In March 1991, Jackson renewed his contract with Sony for $65 million, a record-breaking deal, beating Neil Diamond's renewal contract with Columbia Records. In 1991, he released the eighth album, Dangerous, co-produced with Teddy Real. It was certified 7 times platinum in the US, and by 2000 had sold 13 million copies worldwide. In the US, the first single, Black or White, was the album's highest charting song. It was a number on the Billboard Hot 100 for 7 weeks and achieved similar chart performance worldwide. The second single, Remember the Time, peaked at the number 3 of Billboard Hot 100 singles. The best-selling single of the year was the Billboard Music Awards. Jackson was the selling artist of the 1980s. In 1993, he performed Remember the Time at the South Korean Music Awards in a chair, saying he twisted his ankle during rehearsal. In the UK, he held the weight number 2 on the charts in 1992. And as he continued his dance career and singing, he had many injuries physically and mentally, but nothing went. It came, it went like that. Jackson didn't even shake a bit. Jackson founded the Heal the World Foundation in 1992. The charity brought underprivileged children to Jackson's ranch to use the theme park rides and sent millions of dollars around the globe to help children threatened by war, poverty, and disease. Diseases. That July, Jackson published his second book, Dancing the Reed, collection of poetry. The Dangerous World Tour ran between June 1992 and November 1993 and grossed $100 million. Jackson performed for 3.5 million people in 70 concerts, all were out of the US. Part of proceeds went to Heal the World Foundation. Jackson sold the broadcast rights for a tour HBO for $20 million, a record-breaking deal that still stands. Following the death of his wife and his poker man and friend Grant White, Jackson pleaded the Clinton administration with Pinnacle Gala to give more money to HIV and/or AIDS charities and research, and performed Gone Too Soon, a song related to White and Heal the World at Gala. Jackson visited Africa in 1992 on his first stop in Gabon and greeted more than 100,000 people, some of them with signs, and a welcome home Michael. During his trip to Ivory Coast, Jackson was scouted with King Sandy by a tribal chief. He thanked the dignitaries in French and English, signed documents formalizing his kingship, and sat on God's throne while presiding over ceremonial dances. In January 1993, Jackson performed the Super Bowl 10,007 shows in Pasa, India. You could say like that, it was in the 7, California, the NFL South. I could say that Super Bowl 1010F was a bit of manual letters, so I would like that. The NFL South, a big name to artists, kept ratings high during halftime, following titling audience figures. It was the first Super Bowl whose halftime performance would create audience figures than the game. Jackson played Jam, Bull Jam, Black or White, and Heal the World. Dangerous rose 90 places in award chart and performance. Jackson gave a 90-minute interview to Winfrey on January 10, and he spoke of his childhood abuse at the hands of his father. He believed he had missed out much of his childhood and said he often cried for loneliness. He denied tabloid rumors that he had brought Points of Elephant Man's built in barbaric oxygen chamber or bleached his skin and stated the first time that he had built clothes. Dangerous re-entered the album chart in top 10 more than a year after the releases. And Jackson pleaded before the public for the rumors that spread because of his bleaching his skin, etc. In January 1993, Jackson won 3 American Music Awards: Favorite Pop or Rock Album Dangerous, Favorite Solo R&B Single Remember Time, and was the first to win the International Artist Award of Excellence. In February, he won the Living Legend Award at the 35th Annual Grammy Awards in Los Angeles. He attended the award ceremony with Brooke Shields. Dangerous was nominated for Best Vocal Performance of Black and White, Best R&B Vocal Performance Jam, and Best R&B Song Jam, and Sweden Real won the award for Best Italian Non-Classic. And after this, they like to go to Matt Jackson's personal life, his marriage, and etc. And now we move a bit into Jackson's personal life. In late 1993, Jackson proposed Lisa Mary Presley, daughter of Elvis Presley, over the phone. They married in La Vega, Dominican Republic in May 1994 by civil judge Hugo Francisco Alvarez Presley. The Tampa Florida media speculated that the wedding was publicity stunt to defend Jackson's against allegations and jumpstart Presley's career as a singer. Their marriage ended till more than a year later, and they separated in December 1995. Presley cited irreparable difference, filing for divorce the next month, and also to reclaim her maiden name as a settlement. After the divorce, Jack Press said, "They lasted longer than I thought they would. I gave them a year and lasted a year and a half." And after this, there were many problems faced by Jackson and many programs, many other problems, accusations, the media fired Tom, and there was many things like anti-defamation league, and he created an Earth song, third single released from His Story, and topped the UK singles chart for 6 hours Christmas 1995, and there were other things. And when he came out the important part, Jackson promoted High Story with his Story World Tour from September 7, 1996 to October 15, 1997. He performed 82 concerts in 5 continents, 35 countries, and 58 cities to over 4.5 million fans, his most attended tour. He grossed $165 million during the tour in Sydney, Australia. Jackson and married Gaby Roy, a dermatologist nurse who was 6 months pregnant with her first child. Michael Joseoh Jackson Jr., commonly known as Prince, was born on February 13, 1997. His sister Paris Michael Catherine Jackson was born a year later on April 3, 1998. Jackson and Roy divorced in 1999, and Roy conceded custody of the children. The $8 million settlement in 2004 after the second child allegations against Jackson, and returned to the court to reclaim the custody. The suit was settled in 2006. And in 1997, Jackson released Blood on the Dance Floor, His Story in the Mix. He contained remixes of singles from His Story and 5 new songs. Worldwide sales that stand at 6 million copies, making the best-selling remix album of all time. He reached a number 1 in the UK as he did the Little track. In the US, the album reached number 24 and was certified platinum. And we move on to the 1997, his label Dispute and Invisible. From October 1997 to September 2001, Jackson worked on his 10th solo album, The Invisible, which cost $30 million to record. In June 1999, Jackson joined Luciano Pavarotti for a War Child benefit concert in Modena, Italy. The show raised $1 billion for refugees of the Kosovo War and additional funds for the children of Galmatella. Later that month, Jackson organized a series of Michael Jackson and Friends benefit concert in Germany and Korea. Other artists involved Slash, The Scorpions, Boyz II Men, Luther Barros, Mariah Carey, A. Rahman, Prabhudeva, Sundaram Chopana, Andrea Bocelli, and Lucino Parvati. Proceeds went to the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund, the Red Cross, and UNESCO. From August 1990 to 2000, he lived in New York City at 4 East 74th Street. At the turn of the century, Jackson won an American Music Award as Artist for the 1980s. In 2000, Guinness World Records recognized him supporting 39 charities, more than any other entertainer. Can you think about that? He supported three major charities, helping the poor, the broken hearts, and more than any other entertainers in the film history or the pop singing history or the dancing history. No one has done so. September 2002 30th anniversary concerts were held at Madison Square Garden to mark Jackson's 30th year as a solo artist. Jackson performed with his three brothers for the first time since 1984. The show also featured Maya Usher, Whitney Houston, Disney Style, Monica, Lisa Minley Slash. The first show was made by Technical Labs and crowded booth speeches by Marlon Brando. Almost 30 billion people watched the television broadcast of the shows in November. After 9 by 11, Jackson helped organize the United Stand What More Can I Give benefit concert at RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. on October 21, 2001. Jackson performed What More Can I Give as the finale. The release of Invisible preceded by dispute between Jackson and his record label, Sony Music Entertainment. Jackson had expected the license to the masters of his albums to revert in the early 2000s. After that, he would be able to promote the material. However, pleased to keep recording by the closest correct revert date years in the future. Jackson sought an early exit of his contract. Invisible was released on October 30, 2001. It was Jackson's first full-length album in 6 and the last album of original material is released in his lifetime. It debuted at number 1 in 13 countries and went on to sell 6 million copies worldwide, receiving double platinum certification in USA. And there are many incidents like this, like the surrogate mother gave birth to the third child. Later, an anonymous surrogate mother due to exile. Jackson won the 22nd American Music Award for that century, and artificial something like that. Windows and Normanton, flexible free head blankets, and more like this. It was many things. And in July 2002, Jackson called Sony Music chairman Tommy Mottola a racist, a very devilish, and someone who exploits black artists for its own gain. At Al Sharpton's National Action Network in Harlem, the accusation promoted served to a public coalition investing whatever Mottola exploited black artists. Jackson also charged that Mottola had called his colleague Lil Gotti a fat nigger. Responding to those attacks, Sony issued a statement calling them ludicrous, hateful, and hurtful, and defended Mottola as someone who had championed Jackson's career for many years. Sony ultimately refused to renew Jackson's contract and claimed at a $25 million promotional campaign and failed because Jackson refused to tour in USA for Invisible. And there were other in between 2002 and 2005. There were many court accusations and some child allegations, child abuse allegations, child material against Jackson. We could say Jackson's mugshot taken November 2003, and many things. But he didn't try it out in that cases because he had a strong heart strong mind, and he went with it. Nothing could distress him. And we moved to 2006, 2009, closure of Neverland, final years, and this is it. In April 2006, Jackson agreed to use a piece of his ATP catalog stake as collateral against the 270 million worth of loans to Bank of America. The catalog was worth about 1 billion at the time. Bank of America had sold the loans to Fortress Investments, an investment company that buy distressed loans that year. As part of increment $300 million with reduced investments, only Messi could have the option to buy half of his stake and about half of his stake or about 25% of the catalog at a set price. The actual manager him to share part of the stake to avoid bankruptcy. The main house at Neverland Ranch was closed as a cost-cutting measure, while Jackson lived in Bahrain at the hospitality of Sheikh Abdullah, the ruler's son. At least 30 vessels had not been paid on time and were owned towards 306 in back packages. Jackson also had to pay $100 in penalties. And the picture of Jackson and his son blanket in Disneyland Paris 2006 was of Gary Michaels. In early 2006, he was announced that Jackson signed a contract with Bahrain-based startup 2C's Records. Nothing came to deal, and 2C CEO Guy Holmes later stated that it had never been financialized. That October 4th News Entertainment reporter Roger Federer had been recording Studio County, Ireland. It was not the time that Jackson was working on or paid for the sections in publicities. And there were lots of incidents like this and going on like this in Jackson's life and going on. In 2007, Jackson and Sony bought another music publishing company, Famous Music LLC, formerly owned by Viacom. This deal gave him rights to buy songs by Amy Beck, among others. In March 2007, Jackson gave a brief interview to Associated Press in Tokyo, in which he said he had no regrets about the lifelong career despite difficulties and deliberate attempts to hurt him. That month, Jackson visited U.S. Army post in Japan, Camp Sama, to recruit 3,000 troops and their families. And there were incidents like this. Many albums came out. For Jackson's 5th birthday, Sony PMG released a series of great hit albums titled King of Pop. Different versions were released in various countries based on polls and local fans. And there were many incidents like this, and there were small things going on. In March 2009, at a press conference at the O2 Arena, Jackson announced a series of comeback concerts till This Is It, a speculation about the finances and health. The shows were to be the first major tour since the History World Tour that ended in 1997. Jackson suggested he could retire after the shows. The initial plans was for 10 concerts in London, followed by shows in Paris, New York City, and Mumbai. Freddie Fields, president and chief executive of AAG Live, predicted the first 10 days would earn Jackson 50 million liveries. The London residency, we could say pounds, 50 million pounds. The London residency should increase to 50 days to record-breaking ticket sales, or 1 million sold in less than 2 hours. The concerts were to run from July 30, 2009 to March 6, 2010. Jackson reversed his law changes in this week leading up to tour under the direction of choreographer Ken Taylor, whom he worked with during the previous tours. Most reversals took place at Staples Center owned by AEG. And we could say, as Jackson was living his last days of his life, all was normal and calm, and his death after these final days was like what we could say a old cake without any consequences. What we could say without anything happened before without any clue. It was like an earthquake, we could say, and it break the heart of many people. And we are moving to that for the more details. And before moving on to his death part, Nicole will discuss some about his honors. Jackson was inducted onto Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1980 as a member of the Jacksons. In 1984, as a solo artist, he also won World Music Awards, Best Selling Pop Male Artist of the Millennium, the American Music Awards Artist of the Century Award, and the Bambi Award Artist of the Millennium Award. He was inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Jackson 5 in 1997 and gained solo artist in 2001. In 2002, he was added in Songwriters of Hall of Fame in 2010, and Jackson was the first pop and rock and roll performer inducted in the Dance Hall of Fame in 2014. He was posthumously inducted into the Rhythm and Blues Music Hall of Fame. Jackson won hundreds of awards, more than many of other popular music recording artists. His awards include many Guinness World Records, 8 in 2006 alone, including Most Successful Entertainer of All Time, 13 Grammy Awards, the Grammy Legend Award, and the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, and a record of 26 American Music Awards, including the Artist of the Century and Artist of the 1980s. 30 number of singles in the US. He saw a career more than any other male artist in the Hot 100 era, and estimated sales of over 350 million records worldwide, making him one of the best-selling artists in music history. Jackson received, we could not say all the awards, hundreds of awards achieved by Jackson, because it's not possible to speak all. My throat will break if I speak, because that much awards he earned. It was like awards was flooding into his house. Could say like that. And now we move on to the sad part of our video. That is, Michael Jackson had taken propofol, isopressin, and midazolam. These are all drugs which could reduce her mental stress, and because he had many problems in his face by his life, that many accusations against him, scalp surgeries, painkillers, and more than all stress, he was taking these drugs. But we could say in one way these were medical drugs. His death was caused by propofol overdose. News of his death spread quickly online, causing websites to slow down and crash from user overload, and putting unprecedented strain on services and websites including Google, AOL Instant Messenger, Twitter, and Wikipedia. Overall web traffic rose by 11% and 20%. MTV and BET aired marathons of Jackson's music videos. Jackson specially aired on television stations around the world. MTV briefly returned to its original music video format and aired hours of Jackson music videos, with live news specials featuring reactions from MTV Plus. I pray that he is rest in peace, nothing else. It happens to some people sometimes, or some people say great people die more faster. But because it's all fate. What about Jackson we could see is that he had many mental stresses, many accusations, scalp surgeries, accidents, and so he was taking the medical drugs, and what we could say, he was getting addicted to it, and finally death. And what we all understood from Michael Jackson's life is that his hard work, he can be taken as a best role model for the youth, not like youth, the teens. His hard work, his style, his attitude, his cool and calm attitude. And that's it, and Jackson was dead, and our will never end. It's infinitely stored in our minds and hearts. And nothing more to say. Thank you.